Yuta Okkotsu was the very first protagonist of Jujutsu Kaisen. The boy who inherited Rika carried overwhelming cursed energy and was recognized as a once-in-a-generation prodigy. But not long after, Gege Akutami introduced us to a new protagonist, Yuji Itadori, and ever since then, one question has never stopped dividing the fandom. Who is actually stronger, Yuji or Yuta? Now technically we've already seen them fight. In Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuji and Yuta clashed in a battle that will be animated in Season 3. A fight where Yuji lost. But let's be real, that fight does not represent the full picture. At that time, Yuji wasn't awakened. He had no domain, no refined cursed techniques, and no mastery over his own power. That was an incomplete Yuji, still growing, still learning. And now, we have JJK Modulo, a direct sequel. In JJK Modulo, Yuji Itadori is 68 years old, immortal to aging, still in his physical prime, and officially acknowledged as the strongest person in the world. Today, we're breaking down adult Yuji Itadori versus Yuta Okkotsu, a fight between limitless versatility and decades of perfected dominance. You guys loved my previous video, Adult Yuji versus Gojo, so now it's time to answer the next big matchup. When the strongest sorcerer of the new era stands in front of the king of copy, who actually wins? Before we even talk about Adult Yuji, we need to understand who Yuta Okkotsu really is. Because Yuta isn't just strong. Yuta is a walking anomaly in the world of Jujutsu. Yuta Okkotsu is one of only 4 officially recognized special grade sorcerers by Jujutsu High, and what makes this even crazier is the fact that he didn't grow into that rank over decades. He was registered as special grade immediately. The moment Yuta entered the Jujutsu world, he was already considered a threat on the highest level, and the reason for that was Rika. When Yuta accidentally turned the soul of a loved one into a vengeful spirit, he created something even elite sorcerers feared. Rika Orimoto wasn't just powerful. Suguru Geto himself called her the Queen of Curses. This wasn't exaggeration. Alongside Rika, a barely trained Yuta was able to fight Geto one-on-one, a man who had spent his entire life collecting and mastering cursed spirits. And during that fight, we learned something terrifying. Yuta wasn't just relying on raw power. He was already showing signs of genius-level growth. Even as a student, Yuta could use the extremely rare reverse curse technique, something most sorcerers never achieve in their entire lives. On top of that, he displayed the ability to copy other curse techniques, including high-level techniques like curse speech. Geto himself admitted something important during that fight. He said he was glad he attacked Yuta early, because if Yuta had learned to fully control Rika, the outcome would have been very different. And he was right. The only reason Yuta defeated Geto was by making a suicidal vow, promising his own life in exchange for removing the limiters on Rika's boundless power. That tells us everything. A restrained Yuta was already dangerous. An unrestricted Yuta was unstoppable. Yuta's physical combat ability. Now, many people underestimate Yuta's hand-to-hand combat. That's a mistake. Yuta is not a flashy martial artist. He's efficient. Every strike he throws is designed to end the fight. A single front kick from Yuta was enough to send Yuji flying. One backhand strike knocked Choso unconscious instantly. These weren't lucky hits. They were clean, controlled, and deliberate. At full strength, Yuta fights with a calm intellect. He analyzes his opponent in real time and adjusts immediately. We saw this clearly during his battle against Takako Uro. Instead of charging recklessly, Yuta used cursed speech to immobilize her first, then attacked only after removing her ability to counter. This is Yuta's greatest advantage. He doesn't waste movements. He doesn't gamble. He fights like someone who already knows how the battle ends. If there is one category where Yuta truly breaks the system, it's cursed energy. Yuta's immense cursed energy comes from his bloodline. He is a direct descendant of Mishizane Sugawara, one of the most legendary sorcerers in history. But that potential only fully awakened when Rika was born. Rika possessed boundless cursed energy, so much that it could be shaped into any technique. This allowed Yuta to perform advanced jujutsu techniques within 1 year of training. And here's the part that most people miss. Even after Rika's original spirit passed on, Yuta kept that cursed energy. His reserves didn't disappear. In fact, multiple characters, Yuji and Choso included, confirmed that Yuta's cursed energy output feels comparable to Satoru Gojo. And according to official statements, Yuta's cursed energy capacity actually exceeds Gojo's. Let that sink in. The strongest modern sorcerer has less raw cursed energy Then Yuta Okkotsu. Rika, the external arsenal. The Rika that exists now is different from the original vengeful spirit. This version of Rika functions as external storage. She holds Yuta's copied cursed techniques. She carries cursed tools, and she allows Yuta to fight without exhausting himself. Most importantly, Yuta has complete control over her. When Yuta connects to Rika, his combat ceiling skyrockets. Innate technique. Copy Yuta's innate technique is one of the most broken abilities in the entire series. Copy. If Rika consumes a part of another sorcerer's body, Yuta can permanently copy their innate technique. The stronger the technique, the more vital the body part required, and once copied, Yuta can use multiple cursed techniques back-to-back without downtime. No other sorcerer in the series can do this at the same level. Domain expansion. Authentic mutual love. Finally, we have Yuta's domain expansion. Authentic mutual love. Inside the domain, the battlefield is filled with countless katanas, each one storing a copied cursed technique. Within this space, Yuta can activate any copied ability without restrictions. And the most terrifying part? The copied technique itself becomes the sure hit effect of the domain, meaning once you're inside, escape is no longer an option. This is the version of Yuta Okkotsu that adult Yuji would have to face. A sorcerer with special grade status, Gojo-level cursed energy, multiple copied techniques, a fully realized domain, and Rika fighting alongside him. Now the real question is, can even an 86-year-old Yuji in his prime overcome something like this? Now comes the hardest part of this matchup, adult Yuji Itadori. And the truth is, we don't have complete information about him. JJK Modulo currently has only 17 chapters, so much of adult Yuji's life is shown through implications rather than direct feats. But in Jujutsu Kaisen, what's implied often matters more than what's shown. Here's what we do know. Yuji Itadori is immortal to aging. He does not weaken over time, he does not deteriorate, and he cannot die of old age. At 68 years old, Yuji is still in his prime. Physically, he now stands at 6 feet 3 inches, similar to his former sensei. But size isn't the point, because in the era of JJK Modulo, Yuji is openly acknowledged as the strongest person in the world, and that alone changes everything. Physical power, a lifetime of refinement. Even as a teenager, Yuji had absurd physical strength without cursed energy. Now fast forward 60 years, 6 decades of combat, 6 decades of cursed energy refinement, 6 decades of real battle experience. It's completely reasonable to place adult Yuji at or beyond Toji Fushiguro's physical level. Strength, speed, durability, endurance, all pushed to extreme levels. An immortal body that never weakens, doesn't plateau, it keeps evolving. Adult Yuji doesn't just hit hard, he hits with absolute certainty. Durability, speed, and endurance. Yuji has always been a durability monster, tanking lethal blows, fighting through organ failure, and refusing to fall. Now imagine that same body perfected over 60 years. His endurance borders on limitless. His speed is sharpened to instinct. His durability allows him to survive exchanges others wouldn't dare to take. This isn't a glass cannon. This is a walking catastrophe. A lot of people think Yuji is dumb. That's false. Yuji isn't unintelligent. He's just not serious unless he has to be. After the Shibuya incident, Yuji matured rapidly. Now adds 60 years of experience. Adult Yuji isn't just smart. He's dangerously intelligent. Battle adaptation, strategic thinking, psychological control, not because he's cruel, but because he understands how the world works. Black Flash, absolute mastery. No sorcerer is supposed to use Black Flash at will, but Yuji has always been different. Even in his youth, he landed Black Flashes with unnatural consistency. After decades of mastery, it's widely accepted that adult Yuji can trigger Black Flash at will, and that's terrifying, because Black Flash amplifies everything Yuji already excels at. When adult Yuji throws a punch, it isn't just strength, it's soul-shaking impact. Adult Yuji now fights with both power and technique. Blood manipulation allows him to weaponize his own blood, enhance his body, and sustain long battles far beyond normal limits. Shrine, engraved from Sukuna, lets Yuji carve scissor-like slashes into anything he touches. A technique that was weak when first awakened, but after 60 years has no reason to be incomplete. Dismantle, refined through a binding vow, targets the boundary between souls. Yuji doesn't just cut bodies, he cuts what keeps you alive. Domain expansion. Hometown recreates the place Yuji grew up, parks, streets, farmland, even animals. Inside this domain, Yuji's soul-rending dismantle becomes the sure hit effect, and it no longer requires physical contact. Once you're inside, Yuji decides when and how you're cut. This is the Yuji standing in front of Yuta. Not a reckless teenager, not an incomplete vessel, but an immortal, experienced, fully realized sorcerer. So now the question becomes simple. Can Yuta's versatility and copied techniques overcome 60 years of refinement, soul-level attacks, and overwhelming physical dominance? Now let's talk about the fight itself, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think this would be a close fight, and I know that might disappoint some fans, but this is just my analysis. From the very first exchange, adult Yuji holds a massive advantage in hand-to-hand combat. Yuta is strong, he's skilled, but physically he is not built to trade blows with an immortal Yuji who has refined his body for over 60 years. In close-range combat, this fight heavily favors adult Yuji. His speed, durability, endurance, and striking power are simply on another level. Every punch Yuji throws carries Black Flash-level precision. Every exchange favors the man who can keep fighting indefinitely. If this turns into a pure physical battle, Yuta doesn't last long. That doesn't mean Yuta is helpless. If there's any scenario where the fight swings in his favor, it's through cursed techniques. Thanks to his copy ability, Yuta has access to multiple techniques, multiple attack angles, and extreme versatility. For a short period, he can overwhelm almost anyone. But there's a critical limitation people forget. Yuta can only maintain full access to copied techniques for 5 minutes. And against adult Yuji, that's not enough. Yuji doesn't need to rush. He doesn't need to gamble. He can outlast, outmaneuver, and pressure Yuta until that window closes. Once those 5 minutes are over, the fight tilts completely back in Yuji's favor. Domain clash, the deciding factor. Now, let's talk about domain expansion because this is where the matchup truly ends. Yuji's domain isn't flashy. It isn't overwhelming through sheer complexity. It's personal, and more importantly, it attacks the soul directly. Even Sukuna struggled against Yuji's domain. The King of Curses himself couldn't simply overpower it, so let's be realistic. If Sukuna couldn't casually overcome Yuji's domain, then assuming Yuta could do it would be a stretch. At that point, Yuta isn't fighting just a sorcerer. He's fighting someone who is effectively Sukuna level, or beyond. And that's not a fight Yuta is built to win. Final verdict. In my opinion, adult Yuji defeats Yuta Okkotsu. Not barely, not after an extreme diff battle, but decisively. That doesn't mean Yuta is weak. It means adult Yuji is simply too far ahead, physically, mentally, and experientially. Still, I could be wrong. And that's the fun part, so now I want to hear from you. Do you agree with this outcome, or do you think Yuta finds a way to win? Tell me in the comments. I'll be replying to every single one. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe. Like, we're so close to 100 subscribers, and it feels like our JJK family is just getting started. I'll see you in the next one.